Welcome everyone. Boom, baby. Mate talk time. Good to be before you all. Hope everybody is well and feeling good. It's a gorgeous day today, by the way, here in Melbourne. Spectacular. It is a public holiday, but cheers to me and my commitment to being here and filming. I had a message just before from my beautiful wife going, what time are you coming home? Very soon. Mate talk, and then I'm gonna go home. So first a little mate. Happy to say that the SOSPIRO Discovery Set is back in action. So last week I released the new Discovery series, episode 1. This week will be episode 2, and which is in a way good news. They sold out of the Discovery sets. They're back in. All right. So if you missed this episode, you can have a look at it. You can buy yourself a Discovery set and follow me in real time across the world. Boom. It's a great little concept that I'm excited doing it because it's fun sharing fragrances and actually smelling, because I'm gonna share with you, I've got a lot of beautiful fragrances here. I am covered in fragrance, and it's a lot more fun if you can smell what I'm smelling and, you know, put your own thoughts into what we're experiencing together. So anyway, the Discovery series are all about that. Have a look at this. You guys made this. Yes, you did. I mean, some people, just to give you a heads up, it was fun. This was purely for fun. This was not about, we weren't creating an actual fragrance. Some people got very concerned that the notes that we were putting in were not gonna work. It's okay, it's fun. It's just a little bit of fun. What we basically did is, and we'll do this again, okay? Because this was a fun process for all of us. I want to give kudos to my daughter Maddie. She does all the work on community. This was her brainchild, this concept, and the idea was, what if we collaborated together as a community or as the NFC group and voted for notes. I love that some people voted for their favorite note, not necessarily thinking, how would this composition look? That's okay. The next one, we'll get better at this. It's a community-built fragrance. It's gonna be super interesting. Anyway, this is the fragrance, and these are the notes that you guys voted for. This is the pyramid, essentially. And boom, this is now our bottle. But this name was also nominated by you guys. So we asked for a number of names to be put forward. We then selected, and you guys then chose what was going to be the winner. Dancing in the Dark. I think it's a pretty cool name. It's an autumn fall style fragrance, beautiful for an evening. Maddie went to a lot of trouble to find a bottle that could sort of capture dancing in the dark. This is our fantasy bottle, and I love her description. I mean, it's super alluring. So we asked the question at the end of that, would you buy this fragrance? So we will do this again, but it was purely for fun, okay? So just give you a heads up. Maybe there's other things that we're cooking in the background, but we'll save that for another time. But yeah, we'll do this again, I promise. Now, recently, I'm gonna get straight into it. 3 minutes, boom, we're rocking. I got 10 fragrances, so I'm like, my gosh, I gotta stay committed here and really focused. So I had a very close friend of mine who came over for dinner recently, when I say recently, 3 days ago, and he, this is what gave me the idea. He said to me, look, I love dancing, I go out dancing a lot, as in, he's an older gentleman, so he does, you know, ballroom, and he does Latin dancing and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, and he says, look, I'm trying to find a nice perfume. He goes, I hear that you do perfumes. What would be a nice perfume that I could wear to sort of, you know, draw the lady's eyes, or, you know, get her to sort of like, ooh. And he even played the whole thing out. It's like she would smell like, whoa, who's that? You know, I'm like, yeah, I get it. You want a head turn? I said, all right, what fragrances are you into? And he goes, fragrances, fragrance. I'm into Old Spice. I'm like, okay. So he's old school, you know, Old Spice. I then proceeded to open up my cupboards and started to grab a few fragrances. And he said to me, he goes, oh, you have more than one? I'm like, my man, I'm the niche fragrance collector. I mean, come on. I mean, think of it this way. Does the guy who does a YouTube channel for cooking have a bowl, a knife, and a whisk? No, of course, he's going to have multitudes of all these different things and then some. So anyway, I started to produce all these different bottles, and I said, all right, let's find out what you're into. Old Spice is a start, but let's see if we can go somewhere. I quickly discovered that he doesn't like anything with even a touch of floral in there. I mean, not even a touch. He's like, ooh, it's got a flower. I'm like, yeah, maybe somewhere in there. But anyway, so it came down to, we were looking at masculine leading fragrances. Now, I've always said fragrances are unisex, and ladies, you can actually wear these, and I'll put a few where Sandra likes to also wear them. However, if you're a man, these are 10 fragrances I would recommend. And more to the point, these are head-turning fragrances. So I spoke to my sons. So I have 2 sons, Nelson and Farron, and they're probably 30, and actually I've just aged him a little bit more. I think he's 28 and 26. I think that's where the 2 boys lie. And so these are also fragrances that they love to wear too. And so I'm gonna point these out to you. So you've got 3 men who, love to wear these fragrances. Links when it comes to compliments or head turners, or like, ooh, what are you wearing? And then for me, Sandra, when I'm wearing these particular fragrances, is always commenting. Let me begin. But first, have a look at this while I pour another little drink. Boom. This is the first one. I always use these. Have a look at these and take a little drink so I can look at my notes. The last part is so recently I did a live with a wonderful lady called Catherine. She's got her own channel. Here's her link. And the live was all about fragrances that are sort of built for men, or masculine leading, or men leading, but how does a woman respond to them? So she gave her views on various fragrances. So ladies, I would love for you, as I recommend some of these, if you are familiar with them, I'd love your thoughts. I'd love to see what are your thoughts when it comes to these particular fragrances. Have you smelled them in the air? Did you go, well, yeah, actually, that is a gorgeous fragrance. It works really well on the man. Or, don't know, it was a bit too this, too that. So I'd love your feedback on this. All right, let me begin. So Tagore is the first one. Now this is last thing. I'm gonna start with lighter, more aromatics, and we're gonna move into more deeper, sort of really boom, heavier scents. So I'm going to say these are more for beautiful day like today, sunny, bright, going out, more casual, and then we'll go into more evening sort of style of fragrances. Okay, so Tagore by FUGUIA is one of those fragrances. For me, it pinged straight away. I smelled this and I'm like, yeah, I know I'm going to love this. For those people who love Maison Francis Cujon Gentle Fluidity Silver, and again, Catherine mentioned, Catherine in the live mentioned that was one of the fragrances that she loves to smell on a man. Well, Tagore builds on that structure. The 3 key notes that are listed, there are other notes in it too, and you can detect some other things going on, but the 3 key notes, cardamom on the opening, and amberette in the heart, and coriander in the base. For me, the cardamom coriander combination, that sort of the spicy green and then that herbal sort of notes, they sort of come out together. The ambrette comes to me later as it begins to settle down. This is one that Sandra loves to wear, so give you a heads up, ladies, if you would love a nice, beautiful, summery, bright, vibrant fragrance, Tagore is gorgeous. But on a man, spectacular. Got it right here. So it's been now about maybe 2 hours as I've been preparing. So all the fragrances have been sitting on me for a while. On opening, it is super enticing, very vibrant. That cardamom green, sort of herbal, just is super ensnaring. It captures your attention. This is one that works really well in a nice, beautiful summer landscape. I love wearing this as my summer fragrance. We do a thing here in part of my business. We work with the Australian Open, the tennis, which happens in January. Now, January in Melbourne is ridiculously hot. There are some days, actually, it's typical Melbourne, so it may even rain on certain days and you need a jumper and a jacket. But overall, it's ridiculously hot. I mean, 40 degrees, I'll put here the conversion to that. you could cook an egg on the ground, on the asphalt. And this fragrance is what I love to wear. Because I work at the Australian Open with a variety of different departments across the whole precinct, I got to wear something that is appealing, that has some level of pleasantness. So no ouds and no heavy patchoulis or anything of that nature. This is my fragrance of choice, or one of my fragrances of choice. The scent cloud that this creates, the vibrancy, the happiness that it generates, the compliments that I get. Wow, you smell nice. And especially as I'm sweating and it's hot and I'm moving around, and this fragrance really pops. So as a really beautiful compliment getter, as a wonderful, happy, vibrant, energetic style of fragrance, Tagore is freaking awesome. I was gonna say, yeah, it's really, really impressive. It's a really good fragrance. I get, even with the sweating and all the rest of it, I get about 6 hours worth of fragrance on me. It does sit on my skin fairly well. Yeah, so big recommendation. So boys, head turners, boom, Tagore is one. Drink, this is my next one. And have a look at who the perfumers are. Had a chance to meet these beautiful ladies in Javoy. We did the France fragrance tour. They were part of that experience at Javoy. They shared about how they construct things and how they are inspired by different things and how fragrances come to life for them. It was a wonderful experience, and they're just beautiful, beautiful women. So approachable. You asked them a million questions and they were happy to accommodate and assist. Now, they created a number of the fragrances within the SORA DORA range. This, when it first came out, was just instant love. It's built on classic French perfumery. So if you look at Fragrantica, there's a lot of comments that says, oh, this reminds me of Bleu de Chanel, or it also reminds me of Sauvage by Dior. It reminds me of, actually, think of, I guess, a classic men's fragrance. Gladiator definitely falls into that space. However, what I love about also is they can't, if you look at Fragrantica, they can't pin it down either. They're going, oh, it's this. Actually, and other people come in, oh, no, it's that. It's this mixed in with this. So it's its own beast. The one thing that, or the linear line that runs all the way through it is, yes, it is a classic men's fragrance in that structure. And that structure is that aromatic, that woodiness, opens up with the citrus burst. There are herbal notes in there, but in that dry down, there are woods, there's vetiver, there's all those classic notes. I'm not gonna pick it. I'm not gonna go, it's a little bit of this, it's a little bit of that. What I will do, right here. See, for me, I find that it opens in a very classic kind of way. So it's almost to the point of being familiar. You're like, it does have those fruits and pineapple and stuff like that. So it does remind me a little bit of AVENTUS, for instance, but not a lot, because then there's herbal notes also happening and all these sorts of things. I found that on the dry down is its real magic. It's its own personality. It has this beautiful, vibrant woodiness to it. There is a touch of vetiver in there to give it that sort of masculine, earthy greenness to it. It's really, I love it. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous fragrance. The main part why I put this in the mix is that this is my son, Farron, the 26-year-old. This is his confident, this is his statement maker, this is his fragrance that he wants to project, you know, his presence wherever he may be. He has mentioned to me in the past, and he sends me messages, got another compliment today, when he is wearing Gladiator. So this is the one that he goes to for the office. If he's got a really big meeting that he needs to go to, he loves wearing Gladiator. We caught up with him yesterday, and again, the first thing he said to me was, actually, I hesitated because last week I mentioned to you Aqua Memorabilis, all right? And I put that as something on your radar. He was wearing it yesterday. He smelled gorgeous, all right? Just to give you a heads up. So if you haven't checked out Aqua Memorabilis by Javoy, please do so. It's a sexy, sexy fragrance. Anyway, he mentioned to me straight away, he goes, I love Gladiator. He goes, I love wearing this. I love this as my office scent. He goes, no matter How many times I wear it when I go to the office, everyone always compliments him and compliments the scent profile that it has. So as a beautiful head turner, gorgeous fragrance, good masculine fragrance, Gladiator, massive recommendation, and made by these beautiful girls who are just very, very clever. All right, I'm moving on, doing good. All right, little drink, this is my next one. This was an early love for me. So I came into niche and I discovered, and he's a little bit of a side note. Started the channel and quickly realized that I need to find $1 million, literally $1 million, because there's so many fragrances out there, and to stay relevant, I just need to buy all these fragrances. Then the next thought came to me, what if I partner with a boutique and see if I can create some content for them, and we can do some things together, and we can so I had my brain just like, yes, great idea. And serendipity brought together myself and Kevin and the Oillataguerre boutique. So we had just come out of lockdown here in Melbourne. It was a very stressful time for everybody, businesses. I mean, and here's the further point to that. Oillataguerre opened their doors like a week before we went into lockdown. So they spent all this time getting things ready, then boom, and open the door, and then you got to close it again. And so they were also looking for how can we get people to know that we are here. We just spent nearly a year in, nobody was able to go anywhere. So it was this wonderful connecting of, the universe brought us together essentially. Anyway, the Oillataguerre boutique became my little place, my heaven on earth essentially, because all of a sudden it opened me up to all these incredible fragrances and new brands that I had never before come across. And very early on, Kevin put me on to ZAHAROFF and PERFUME. This is the very first one, or the reboot. There's a long story on this, but this is George's reboot when it comes to his ZAHAROFF brand. For me, this is still a classic within the range. I know that he's released a number of other fragrances. Some of them are absolutely gorgeous, but I go back, if you don't have PERFUME, this is one that it's almost like this is the foundation. You need this so you can build above the rest. Whenever someone comes to me, like a new person into niche, and primarily, so someone who has deep in all things designer, I always recommend to them PERFUME, and that's basically because the structure of it is very familiar to most people. The beauty of it though is that the evolution, it now sort of introduces them to the evolution and the way that a fragrance can now, where it begins and how it migrates, and then where it leads and how long it lasts, all those beautiful things that you want from a niche perfume. I feel also that ZAHAROFF over-delivers, especially this guy here who's a monster bottle. I mean, it'll take you 3 lifetimes to go through it all. And you can see, I'm trying. We've hit this fragrance hard. This has become also a good favorite for my boys. So my 2 sons also enjoy the ZAHAROFF PERFUME. Now, what I love about this, when it first opened, when the first time I experienced it, I remember that the lavender hit was just like, what in the world? It was like this incredible, strong, very, not herbal, but just, vibrant lavender that came through. I don't feel that anymore. The funny thing is I sprayed it just before in preparing, and I'm like, where's my lavender hit? So clearly I've become very familiar with that very vibrant lavender that's in the actual opening. Overall, the fragrance is classic men, or a classic man fragrance. I know that there are some women that also enjoy wearing the ZAHAROFF PERFUME. There is a sweet note in there. I jumped on the ZAHAROFF website to find out what is exactly. Fragrantica says that there's vanilla. But, sometimes Fragrantica is it's a little bit like our fantasy fragrance, where people are just putting notes everywhere. So I always love validating that with the actual website. Now, according to the ZAHAROFF website, there's no vanilla in there, but there is a sweetness. I detect something sweet coming through. It could be, I know that there is an amber accord, there may be some sugariness in that. But what I love about this is that it's this beautiful balance between this aromatic, woody, but also carries this other pieces in there. And I said one of those pieces is that sweetness that comes through. It's gorgeous. There is a musky, now deep in the dry, there is a slight muskiness in that base, but it remains as a classic, clean, gentleman's fragrance. So think, I mean, I could see Cary Grant wearing this in the 1940s, 1950s. I could fast forward 50 years from now, and whoever might be the person in the future, I could see them also wearing this fragrance. So it has this beautiful, it transcends the ages. It's a classic gentleman's fragrance. And a statement maker. I know that when I'm wearing this, I do get like, what are you wearing? I've had a few. It's interesting that I get comments from people who are just getting into niche. So I have young men, they're like, I love the perfume. What are you wearing today? So this, as I said, this is one that I'm always recommending to those who are coming into niche. It's a statement maker. It does, it radiates a level of confidence by wearing this fragrance. A good masculine fragrance that can be easily worn by a woman, I believe, because that's what I've heard. All right, dum, dum, dum. Let me just, this is the next one. Bing. And guess who made it? So the last one, the Zaharoff, it is a confidence booster. One thing that I love about it, it does have that, and I think it's those aromatics, those dry woods, the woodiness in it, that gives you that sense of like, yeah, I can do this. I've got the, the inner strength to accomplish things. Let me move on. Actually, I'm going to do one more and then I'll stop. So these wonderful ladies, they're super talented. Let me just put it. I mean, apart from, so I'm going to name a few more where they've been involved, but these ladies, have a look at both. Flair is the name of their business, and they're across so many different beautiful fragrances. This one here is a brand that is fairly new. There is a simplicity to this that creates it's this quiet confidence, and the best, as I was preparing, I thought this is a kind of fragrance that it's almost like it's a person, it could be a man or a woman, who happens to see someone in danger and like drowning, jumps into the water, saves this individual, makes sure that they're okay, and then just moves on. Don't want no accolades. I don't want no praises like who was that person. There's none of that above. Unlike these other ones that I just shared, where they, there's all these different notes coming out and creating presence and making you go, ooh, I wonder what that is. This is super clean and very straightforward. En bois, a wood. And it's just about celebrating the classic, clean, woody notes in a fragrance. There is a structure, because obviously otherwise if it's just wood, it just wouldn't hold. So it does open up with this black peppery, sort of a woody scent profile to it. In the fragrance, there is a sandalwood and also there is papyrus. It does have a very clean, crisp, woody note. Now I haven't sprayed it because with all these other, not braggers, but all these others, look at me, everyone yelling, this gets a little bit lost. But if you wear it as your day fragrance, this would be perfect if you're going for an outdoor event or doing something where it's a slightly intimate. I wouldn't wear this as a big presence statement maker because it will get drowned out, unfortunately. As I said, it's more, actually it's stoic. That's what it is. It's stoic, it's quiet, it's strong, but it's gorgeous. This is from Farron. Again, Farron is, actually both my boys are crazy perfume lovers. This is Farron's favorite. He cannot get enough of En Bois. And what he loves about it is that it is, sometimes you want a fragrance that just denotes you, that doesn't go too much into, it doesn't sort of state that it's a fragrance, it's a perfume. It's almost like, this is me, this is who, the scent that you're getting in the air is actually my skin emanating that. And En Bois has that appeal to it. It has a very grounding, woody strength to it. And as I said, everything about the construct of the fragrance is all surrounding about creating a wood style fragrance that is somewhat personal. As I said, great fragrance if you want to go meet somebody a bit more intimate at an outdoor area, something of that nature. As an everyday fragrance, this would be absolute pure magic. I did do a review on the obvious. These are now a lot more stilling fragrances. They're not, although actually Homme Pistache is gorgeous. It's a massive statement maker. These other ones, they're more about the concentrating on the actual note itself and how a note is constructed. I also created another video on if you want to train your nose on how to pick up certain scents, then the obvious range is another great place to be. This is a quiet statement maker. This is one where people will go, is that you? As in, do you smell that good? Or is it a fragrance that's creating this more presence about you? Amboise is the one. Gorgeous. But again, if I had put it on my skin, it would get drowned out because these others are all yelling at me. All right, I'm gonna stop and I will resume. We've done pretty good. 4 fragrances in 26 minutes. Bada bing. And back. One last thing, ladies. This is a great fragrance to wear. So if, again, yes, I know we're focusing on head turner sort of fragrances for men, but Amboise, easy fragrance for a woman to also wear. Allora, boom. The girls again. This time around, Amélie is credited as the creator of this. The 2 girls work in companionship. Sometimes they create something on their own. When we caught up with them, I asked them about this. So how does it work exactly? Is it like John and Paul McCartney, where they, in the end, they just put their name, John and Paul. They said, no, it's true that there are some fragrances that they collaborate and create together. And then there are other fragrances where they are doing it for themselves, but obviously they share it with their partner and they sort of add comments to it. This one here, Amélie is accredited in creating this on her own. For me, this, if you want a really, so we're moving now into vetiver, okay? And we're moving into that, so vetiver tends to be the classic masculine note. And I think it's, again, from a historical point of view, a lot of French perfumery had the vetiver note as, well, attributed it to a manly fragrance. And I think sort of us as society have adopted that. A woman can easily wear this. Just to give you a heads up, ladies, beautiful fragrance. However, as a really, really good masculine fragrance that generates a level of confidence, it is very sophisticated. It is almost classic perfumery at its best. Mr. Vetiver, Une Nuit Nomade, is just an exceptional fragrance brand. If you haven't seen my discovery series that I've done on this, have a look at this. You actually get free delivery. Look at the link below. You'll be able to click on that. You'll get free delivery in the world, plus you'll get your 10%. I talk about this particular fragrance as one that I feel every man should have. It really, really, really is the classic masculine fragrance. It has all the pieces that you want in a good fragrance for a man. This is my, actually, I was gonna say, this is my suiting up. It is, I love wearing my suit and wearing Mr. Vetiver, but it can be also a very casual fragrance. Recently, I caught up with Philippe Solas from Une Nuit Nomade, and we played a little game, and I asked him, so René Belloc, Dr. René Belloc from the Raiders of the Lost Ark, I said, what kind of fragrance would he be wearing? And he instantly said, Mr. Vetiver. There's a sophistication, there's a class to him, and this fragrance would radiate that sort of scent confidence. For me, this is James Bond. This is James Bond on a chill evening, just, you know, him winding down. He's wearing also Mr. Vetiver as his fragrance. I love that it has like a very dry papyrus vetiver. It's not overtly green. It does have an earthiness to it. There is a pepperiness in there. There is a touch of sweetness, which I also like, but it's very, very subtle. It's not a vanilla or anything like that, but there's a touch of sweetness that runs through the fragrance. But it is, the imagery that conjures up is just a really well-dressed man wearing this fragrance. Bing, boom, boom, boom. I've got it somewhere. I've got it here, I think. it's just, it's stunning. It is stunning. Have a look at my Discovery series if you want to smell alongside me and see the evolution of this fragrance. By all means, jump on that. But honestly, you just need to test it out. Mr. Vetiver, classic masculine fragrance. And it's just a stunning, it's a compliment maker. Whenever I'm wearing it, so Sandra loves this fragrance on me. However, other women, if I'm wearing it, are also picking up. Recently, I was with my sister, I caught up with my sister, gave her a hug, and she's like, I love that fragrance. What are you wearing? Which one is it? And so it's one that instantly draws attention. A very good, classy men fragrance for a man. Boom. And again, Amelie, she's awesome. She's such a talented young lady. All right, next one. Another very talented perfumer, which you may have heard of. Only made the greatest fragrances of our time. Acqua di Gio, Calvin Klein 1. I think he made, I'll put him here because he's made so many, honestly. He's made more #1 hits than Elvis Presley, basically, in music. So this is his own brand. Alberto Morillas is the man. And the brand is called MIZENSIR. And now he has a really broad and diverse range of fragrances. It's interesting that the brand as a whole is a little bit overlooked. There's not a lot of people who sort of, anyway, check him out. He has some really beautiful fragrances within his collection. He has now obviously created freedom to create what he wants and how he wants to do it. This one here, if you love vetiver as your note, then Mystic Vetiver is gorgeous. It's a very, it's now, so where Mr. Vetiver is a classic, old school, sophisticated, here it has more of a modern twist to it. For those who love original vetiver by Creed, but lament a little bit that it maybe doesn't have the bones or the longevity. You know, it's a beautiful, vibrant, lemony start with ginger and things of that nature. It just has this beautiful uplift and sunshine. But then, you know, you get that green vetiver, but then it sort of, you know, it sort of dries down and goes away. Whereas I find here, it doesn't have the same brightness as original vetiver, but it does have that lemon pop, and I think that's what makes that style of fragrance so beautiful. The vetiver, the greenness, the earthiness, because the earthiness, it begins to then sort of come through more, in particular with it has the supporting acts of patchouli and also cedar, I think, papyrus, and has this papyrus touch to it. That lemon pop that you get comes down, but always retains or remains throughout the fragrance. I do find that when it begins to dry down, it goes a little bit on that soapy side. Again, comparing it to original vetiver, where it does have a little bit of that soapy sort of dry down. For me, it's a little bit more exaggerated in original, whereas here it has more of that earthiness, that earthy touch to it. This is one, it's gorgeous. So again, as a really good masculine fragrance, now it has a little bit more of that confidence side. So you're now dressing down. So where Mr. Vetiver, you were dressing up, looking sharp. This one here, white t-shirt or just a t-shirt and jeans on, whatever. Going to the beach, Mystic Vetiver is fantastic for that. What I find here, where was my brain going? I was going to tell you something. It's the beep, bop, boom, boom, boom. It's the soapiness. I think this is where I was trying to say. So it does have that vetiver touch. It does. I remember now. It does have that vetiver touch. It does have that soapiness. It's interesting that up close, it's okay. In smelling it off your skin, see, for me, I could bury my nose in Mr. Vetiver for hours and just enjoy its scent profile and all the different facets of it, the dryness, the pepperiness, the vetiver, the earthy. I love it, love it, love it. Whereas Mystic Vetiver, up close, it's very pleasant. It's not you don't sort of pull back, but it's the sillage of this fragrance. So this is one where if I say to Sandra, he smelled this, she's like, man, I don't like it. But when I'm wearing it, she's like, what are you wearing? What is that? What are you wearing now? So it's one that in the air, the sillage, its projection, what's around you is absolutely gorgeous. It's spectacular. So a good, easygoing, everyday, comfortable fragrance, masculine fragrance. And you know, interesting too, I feel like this is a lot more masculine leading. So ladies, you could probably wear, you could probably wear Mr. Vetiver. So there is other pieces in here that would suit well. Whereas I feel that Mystic Vetiver is more masculine leading, has more of a masculine edge to it. I need to drink, I'm about to cough, excuse me. Gorgeous, breezy, in the air style fragrance. Mr. Vetiver works really well. Now, its companion. So if you want, this is the Mystic Vetiver is an everyday fragrance, but more for leaning towards the evening, something that's a little bit more refined and sophisticated. Then I would recommend to you the inimitable William Penhaligon. Perfumer is boom. And I love that these are like almost bookends. So this is your day fragrance. This is your, you know, just going out, just doing my thing. And now this will become your evening fragrance. Also, its crowning element to this fragrance is the vetiver. I love reading, I went to the Penhaligon's website, and the 3 keynotes that it mentioned was bergamot, incense, and then vetiver. I get caramel. I don't know where from, but I get this caramel sweetness, this vanilla sort of touch to it. There's something else happening here. I wrote down here, I get a dry caramel, so everything's in a very dry kind of way. A dry caramel, a dry earth, and I get a dry, leathery scent profile to it also. Nope, not there. And I get the vetiver. No smokiness, because sometimes vetiver can have a smoky element to it. The fact that it has incense in the heart, for me, I don't get that smokiness. I get a sweetness. I get this caramel. It reminds me of a caramel chewy lolly. And I've for the longest time I've tried to define which is, you know, where is this? What is this lolly that I can think of? This candy that I can think of. But every time I smell it, I'm always thinking caramel. So it must be something logged back in my brain. And as I said, as a bookend, so you could spray Mystic in the day and then the William in the evening, and the 2 vetivers that are in there will just create this beautiful round effect. It's a super stylish fragrance. It's really, really impressive. I did do a full review on William Penhaligon's. It is, for starters, I love the portrait collection. It is the GOAT. Well, William Penhaligon is the GOAT in all things. So I do love the way that this baby looks. And interestingly, believe it or not, this is one, because in the end, going back to my friend Barry and then all these different fragrances, I had a whole list of fragrances for him to smell and test. And I said, at the end, I just want you to put on 2 fragrances, 1 on each arm. This is one that he's actually selected. I was actually impressed because it does, even though again, it's not listed as a note within the fragrance, I do get a sweetness out of it. He enjoyed it for even though he can't define what it was that he loved, but he loved the masculine touch that the fragrance had. I'm gonna say again, it's that dry, leathery, earthy vetiver, a piece that's in the actual fragrance that stands out the most, or stood out the most for him. Gorgeous fragrance. Big recommendation, everybody. Big recommendation. Okay, let me have a little drink. This one needs very little introduction. I didn't spray it. Yesterday, as I was prepping, can I just say also, my desk was covered in fragrances that I was going to put up for today. Originally, it was going to be 5, but I had to do 10 because I'm like, there's no way I can only limit this thing to 5. And I had to push some away. So I know boys, men, feel free to put in extra recommendations as head turner, good masculine fragrances. Anyway, so I sprayed a lot of them yesterday. When I walked into the office, this was like, what do you need? Can I help you with anything? A little bottle, and I use this fragrance, all right? But you can see that I don't overspray ever. 2 to 3 sprays on this guy is more than enough. This is one, if you want a good head turner, if you want a good, just something that creates yummy sounds, and I say that because when I wear this, or even when Sandra came into the office this morning, Sandra says, finish your sentences. When I wear this, Sandra creates the yummy, or does the yummy sounds when she smells this in the air. When Sandra came in this morning also to validate my selection and to approve that what I've selected was right, she picked up the card and she's like, I love this one. I think for those who've been with the channel for a while, heard my story where a good friend of mine, another friend of mine said, look, I'm going out on a date, boop, boop, boop. What fragrance would you recommend? And I said, just get Pardon. You won't ever regret owning Pardon in your collection. He sent me a text sometime later, and his comment was, she just could not take her arms off me. She kept kissing look, I didn't want to go into too much details, other than she kept kissing him and kept sort of burying her face in his body, boom. But Pardon. So Pardon is, here's also, I did a review on this fragrance. It is, I don't know what it is about this fragrance. I don't know what there is, you know how people say that they put in pheromones in fragrances? Well, maybe this is what's happened here. Alessandro Gualtieri has done something here, some kind of voodoo, some kind of magic, because this fragrance is pretty spectacular. I haven't put it on my skin because it will just dominate. It will just be super strong and also shadow over everybody around me, all the other fragrances that I have on me. We don't know what the notes are. What I detect, and if you look at Fragrantica, there's all these different things, and I'm like, okay, maybe. I get a patchouli note. I get this very, not musty, but I do get like a chocolatey touch. I know that Fragrantica does say that there's a dark chocolate note in there. That's a constructed note, so they would have to do it through something. For me, it's patchouli. Fragrantica says that there's also oud in here, and I have to say that, I'm going to say that, yeah, there'll probably be some kind of oud in the fragrance. I know that all the Nasomattos have an essence or a touch of oud in different ways. It's not animalic, it's not stinky in any way, but it has such a beautiful balance. One key note for me is the wood. It has a very deep woody scent. There are some aromatic pieces in there. It's very alluring. It's for a man to wear. There's a sense of confidence in wearing Pardon. It really, for me, this is a beautiful date night, going out fragrance. Not something that I would wear in the office, going out dancing, things of that nature. Pardon is awesome. But just for those who are new to niche, I would just, so if you're brand new to niche, I would suggest to you, get Zaharoff, the PERFUME, as a really good date night, evening fragrances, and beautiful things in there that are a lot more sort of alluring and enticing. If you're a little bit more seasoned, then Pardon would be gorgeous, because of there are deeper notes in there that made sort of like, whoa, what's going on here? Boom, okay. Let me just, we're down to 2 more, I love this one. I love this one, but I love patchouli. So my thing is patchouli. The scent cloud that this fragrance creates is gorgeous. So patchouli dust, and I love, this is one thing that's interesting. The fragrance, the way it's listed on their website, is the opening has patchouli, the heart has vetiver, and the base has oud. All 3 very potent, very boom sort of fragrance notes that you would think would be like, whoa, over the top and like almost scary. I encourage you to test, if you get an opportunity, test this on skin. The cleverness of this fragrance, the way that this fragrance has been constructed is spectacular. You do get a bit of that patchouli touch, but it doesn't go into the musty. So if you like the really musty, I feel like there's more patchouli touch in here than there is in this one here, just as a heads up. What I do get a lot from this fragrance is like a booziness out of it. There's like this boozy, dark plum, cognac, wood barrel, seeped in some kind of wine or something, there is a deep booziness to the fragrance. I also find that it has this beautiful woodiness. It does have that little bit of that patchouli mustiness in the beginning. I also find that this fragrance has incredible evolution. The way that this baby moves is freaking awesome, is spectacular. I've been saying freaking a lot, I apologize. But it's pretty special. What I love about this too is that the opening can be a little bit so this is now deeper. So if you're now deeper into niche, this is a great fragrance to explore. What I love about it is that as the fragrance migrates down, so it starts off quite strong, very potent and present. Even though it has oud in the base, I feel that the fragrance goes, it eases off. There's more of an aromatic lightness, woody touch at the end. It almost feels more breezy. At the start, it's boozy, and there's a deep, like a dark plum, a deeper touch to it, deeper woods and things of that nature. But then as it goes through, it has a lightness to it. It's really, really impressive. I've got it, I'm wearing it today. I wore it yesterday. I'll tell you what happened yesterday. I love it. Honestly, I love this fragrance. Now, when it comes to compliments, it's other men, believe it or not, that pick up on this. People, it is a really good confidence maker. I was wearing it yesterday, as I mentioned, and my son Nelson, who also loves all things woody and the patchouli and things of that nature. He was like, you smell really good. I was gonna say, you smell gorgeous, but he didn't say that. He said, I can smell your fragrance, you smell good. Wow, there you go, same thing. Gorgeous. Big recommendation. So this is now your evening fragrance. This will be great for if you're in a bar or a larger space where you need to command a bit more of attention. Long lasting, you're gonna get 12 plus hours. You wake up in the morning, you will be smelling patchouli dust. It's not overtly patchouli, all right? So it's not like it doesn't have that deep mustiness that you may enjoy in the patchouli fragrance. As I said, I'm still getting the booziness, and I've been wearing it now for nearly 2 hours. As I go deeper, it does go into that more lighter. So there's some other aromatic notes. I'll put the notes here. You'll see what other notes, but there are lighter notes, even though it does have oud in the base. All right, boom, bada bing. Last one. So, last one. I didn't put in the thumbnail on purpose. What could it be? Give me a little drink. Have a think. What could it be? Ta-da! The classic. Come on, baby. Come on. So, I know that we just love giving. I've read people love giving Creed Aventus a hard time. I think it's a classic. So I've always been saying it. For me, Aventus, the original, was one of my early loves, and this is one that it just works. During the live that I had with Catherine, she mentioned that she loves Aventus Cologne, also another classic, beautiful, bright, a lot more youthful and young and energetic. For a younger man, fantastic. For every man, and in particular, men who are seasoned, have some presence, if you want a bit more gravitas, Absolu is fantastic. This was a gift. Thank you, Fred. So one of the subscribers of the channel, a member of the channel, my consigliere, he's one of the OGs, found the channel very, very early on. Last year, he sent this to me as a gift when it just got released. It was a very gracious gift. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous fragrance. Now, my three sons, who's the third one? My 2 sons absolutely adore this. So my Farron, he actually has this as his own. So you have to remember, the Niche Fragrance Collector, they have full access to all my fragrances, yet he went out and got this for himself. That's how much he loves and enjoys the Aventus Absolu. This was the other fragrance that Barry put on his skin. So my good friend, as I mentioned, He loved all things William Penhaligon, but the other one that really resonated with him. Now, when this sprayed in the air, when so Sandra was probably about 5 meters apart, sprayed this in the air, a few seconds later, Sandra goes, whoa, which one is that? That one is divine. So again, it's a classic, and there's a reason why it's a classic and why it's duped and why people copy it and why people create something similar to it. So I would recommend to you, if you want a really good statement maker, a really good head turner, I can smell this in the air. Now, my nose has refined. I mean, I think most people can smell AVENTUS, but the ABSOLU I really love. Everything is deeper, everything is a lot more, not resonance, but a lot more, it just has more bones to it. It's a lot more denser. I think that's the word I'm looking for. There's more more density to this. What was that from? Oh, I'm thinking about You're My Density from, is it anyway, it's Back to the Future. Long lasting, I'm getting easily 6-8 hours of this fragrance, has great projection, beautiful sillage. When I'm wearing it, when my sons are wearing it, you can smell it in the air. It's a confidence maker. This is a fantastic fragrance, massive recommendation for you boys. Boom, and mission accomplished. Bada bing. All right, thanks everybody. Hope you enjoyed that. That was, there's no announcements. That's it, we're gonna wrap this baby up. So I would love to hear any thoughts that you have on any of these fragrances that I recommended. Agree, disagree. And I would also love to know, what are your thoughts when it comes to an additional other fragrances that you love wearing as statement makers? Ladies, please, I'd love if you are familiar with any of these that I put forward, and if you smelt them in the air and your man is wearing it, or the person that you love is wearing this particular fragrance, what are your thoughts around that? Do you like it also? Is it a head turner for you when that person is wearing it? Thanks everyone. See you guys all on the next episode.